Hello, everyone. I have got an amazing book that I'm looking forward to launch with everyone. And this book is a beauty. It's something in here for everyone. But first of all, I'd love to welcome here today, Rob. How are you today, Rob?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. So, Rob Goddard has got an amazing book out called Behind the Smile, Unmasking the Silent Battles We Hide and the Strength We Find. So, there's a lot behind this book and behind this smile that is jam-packed. I mean, look how big this book is, and there's some exciting things inside. So, I wanted to ask you, Rob, this book's an amazing book for so many people. Like I said, we were chatting earlier, and I said how I found something in there that resonated with
Mm.
me. And then I moved to deeper in the book. So even though it's great to read it from start to finish, there's also that element that you can get in. And if something excites, you can delve down a little bit deeper down the track. But tell me, first of all, why the title Behind the Smile is one thing, and then you can roll on to why you wrote the book as well.
Yeah, great question. I started writing this book back when I was in Canada about 3.5 years ago when I was looking after my mom. And I had just gone through, it was kind of going through a little phase and chapter in my life where there was so much going on. I was dealing with visa problems, I was dealing with relationship problems, I was dealing with my mom and her health. And there was all this stuff happening. And I woke up one morning and I'm like, I just need to go to the cafe. I just need to write. I just need to get the stuff out of my head. And I've always wanted to write a book. But when I started journaling, it was just talking about all the stuff that I never shared on social media. It was all the stuff that what they say, I hid behind my own smile. And that's really how the title came around. And the book kind of evolved from there. It started off as like a journal entry. And then I just kept writing the stories of all these kind of these big, significant events that happened in my life that people didn't know about. And I'm like, I just need to share that inner dialogue, the stuff that was really going on inside of my head that we all don't share, right? The conversations we have ourselves, the really deep emotions that we go through that we don't express. So I just needed to get that stuff out of my head because I had no more room. It was time.
It's a great way to release. As I say, when you're writing a book, you're actually doing personal development because you're exploring yourself, you're writing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, working with all of your work and then working with a team to really get some good structure and to get that stories out there, because we all resonate with stories and we all can sometimes see ourselves in other stories and why we love that. But you delve into many personal stories
Mm.
and interpersonal relationships. And many have themes of you wearing these masks. And I know you talk a lot about masks in the book. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on your stories and what masks maybe you found that you had? And then for the readers, what are they going to get out of your stories and how you explain these amazing masks?
Oh my God. The more I think about this book, the more complex that I feel it is because not in a bad way either. The book didn't even start off with being all about the masks. I think my original first chapter was just talking about a few masks. And it was just asking the questions, why do we hide behind a smile? What are we fearful of? So it's asking myself all these questions. And then that's how the masks came about. But as I sat with your team and we structured it, we came out with this whole concept of the mask and we built this whole frame, put the mask in chronological order with my timeline. So it's almost like watching a movie and watching how these masks almost develop. But then when you get into my later life, you can actually look back and connect them, right? So it's like the mask control. Oh, that makes sense because in his earlier days, this was happening. So it makes sense that he has that mask on, right? And it's almost connecting the pieces. So you watch this movie, it's watch the timeline. The masks, there's 15 of them, and there's probably so many more masks that you can come up with, right? But these were kind of what worked with my story. So when readers are reading this and trying to figure out if this book is for them, I really think it's for everyone. To be honest, there's so many stories. It's not just a book for women. It's not just a book for men. It's not just a book for gay people or straight people. The stories in this book are so universal. The masks in this book are so universal. And so it's really to help people identify which mask they might be wearing and understanding where it may have been developed. So if people are feeling stuck, it was like, okay, now I know where I may need to go do a bit more digging and do some work.
And I love that because I even found as going through, it's like you said, when you follow these masks along your journey, we as the reader can say, oh, I can understand how you adapt these masks. And we
Mm,
have many layers of masks that we have, but it's the way that you explain it with stories, and then it does make sense. And so then we can accept why we may have picked up this mask and how it's sort of worked for us sometimes, and
yeah.
how it can be detrimental, and how we can start looking at that. And I know that you mentioned, is it Jim Carrey, that movie The Mask, right?
Yeah.
Most people have seen that movie. How does that relate to, like, when you talk about masks and things, how does that relate? Can you share that?
Yeah, you think of the movie and Jim Carrey's character is this guy who, was working in his 9 to 5, doing his day to day, living a below average life to some people, and just kind of feeling down on his luck. And then when he comes across this magical, mystical mask with superpowers, he puts it on and it completely transforms him into this confident, sexy, over courageous man with all these superpowers and stuff. But when he takes it off, he's back to his old self. And so the more he wore the masks, the more it became part of his identity. And so with this book, I want to really explain to the reader that the masks, they're not a bad thing. They're there to serve a purpose. They're there to protect us and keep us from harm and protect us when we need them. But we need to be able to understand when that's starting to become an identity and when it's starting to impact our lives in a negative space. And through the book, you do see how by me wearing certain masks, how they damaged certain relationships in my life and how they were impacting my life negatively.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way of putting it, because it's like understanding why we picked up the mask and what it's
Yeah.
done for us, but allowing us to see who we truly are without all the masks behind the smile. How do we do that? How do we come back to our authentic self and smile with authenticity, because we're really smiling from the inside out? And I absolutely love that. And there is so much in this book and for people to delve into. And it's really, like you explained, advice that, or things that people can look into and start then exploring. And I know that there's lots of personal stories and self-help advice and things that are in there, because you also, as a coach, you help many people through some of these challenging times. Do you know, is there a common kind of mask, or one that comes up more than others when you're working with some of your clients? And what's, say, one of those masks, what's something that you have done to sort of help someone uncover that mask and remove that mask?
It's funny when I was first writing and I just finished the first chapter, which I originally called The Mask We Wear. And I just finished writing and I jumped on a coaching call with one of my clients. And through our conversation, I didn't even told him about my book or anything. He's like, "Yeah, I wear masks with everyone." Right. And it was like I had just written this chapter on steps to removing the mask and all these things. And it was just really interesting. And I do talk about him in this book. But I'd say some of the most common ones, because I work mostly with men, is the mask of invulnerability. So scared of being vulnerable. There's the mask of control with some of the executives that I've worked with in corporate, right? The mask of control, the mask of independence. Those are probably the most common ones. But there's, yeah, it's crazy. You actually never know who's going to resonate with which mask. And yes, I resonated with a lot of them because it's my story. But this book is not just for the reader to understand themselves better. I think it's a beautiful tool for us to help us understand others in our circle as well, because we all know somebody who has certain patterns or behaviors. So I want to believe that this book is going to help the reader understand others as well.
Absolutely. That's an absolutely great point, because when we do understand, we become a little bit more empathetic to
Yeah,
why they might be behaving a certain way. And of course, they can get the book and recommend for that person to read the book to get to understand
absolutely.
themselves and others around them. So, what's next for you? I know that we've got some book launches happening around, and like I said, this very heavy book, very big book here, is absolutely amazing. And people can grab a copy now. It's out now. So if you want to jump on and get the copy, it's new. It's just being released. And I know that we're doing some book launches around Australia. They can jump on to the link that we'll put below if you're interested in coming to one of the book launches. I think some are sold out, but you can jump on and check it out.
Sydney sold out. Yeah.
Sydney's sold out, but I think them Melbourne, I know, is only in a couple of days, and you're doing another one
In Brisbane.
In Brisbane. Beautiful. And there's some tickets available for Brisbane. So we'll put the links below. We'll put the links for you to go and grab a book for yourself. Go and grab one for your family members so they get to understand you more. And you know what I love about it as well is I think it's something that it's a book that you can read that becomes open discussion and communication as each person says, what mask did you most resonate?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And I'm so excited to hear from the readers of which masks really resonated with them. And I think I did it justice in really sharing my vulnerability in this book to really talk about the things that a lot of us just don't talk about. It wasn't easy. It was definitely a journey writing this book, 3.5 years, as some of the stories I had to revisit, and those are tough, right? Took a while to properly get through it.
Absolutely. We're honored and we're privileged to be the publisher of your choice to really get this book out there. I think it will change people's lives. It will start conversations and it will help people to become more of their truest self or, like you said, understand others. So we thank you so much for that and sharing your personal stories. And that's what makes this book interesting, and it helps you understand more about the masks, both when you're wearing them and as you progress along. So thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to leave with the people today, other than I'm saying go grab yourself a copy of the books through the link below? Is there anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, I'd say for anyone who is thinking of writing a book, write the book. I think everyone says at least once in life, I should write a book. Write the book, right? It's not going to write itself. You have to write it. And I had originally thought of going self-publishing before I knew how much goes into writing a book. And thanks to your presentation, it really opened my eyes to how much goes into writing a book. So I just want to say thank you so much to you and your team for being absolute legends going through this journey. You guys were 2 feet in from the beginning, and you guys have experienced my highs and lows in writing this journey and some of the obstacles I had to face and overcame, which was amazing. So thank you so much. So I highly recommend working with an editor, working with Dean Publishing. Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Beautiful. So as I said, link below, go and grab yourself an amazing copy of this book, Behind the Smile. Thanks, Rob Goddard. We look forward to seeing you at the book launch.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye for now.